Okay, hello everyone. My name is Azhar Hussain, and I'm a 9th grader in Mr. Biden's GTLA class. And I'm looking forward to speaking to you guys today, and I hope you guys enjoy the talk. So, with 82% of American schools failing by the standards set forth in the No Child Left Behind policy, and with superpowers such as India and China is experiencing massive increases in their literacy rates, it's no surprise that the United States is being left behind in the race to educate our children. This places the United States in an extremely dire situation, because a failing education system ultimately means a failing America. Ever since the creation of public schools in the 1840s, the United States has made education both accessible and free to the American public. But while these schools may be convenient, the quality of education surely has not held up. So when looking to today's problem, what must America do to fix its current education crisis? The answer is quite simple. They need to totally reform all education policies that exist today. And they can do this by fixing three big problems. First, by combating negative stigmas that exist today. Second, by implementing an aptitude-based education system. And finally, by incentivizing teachers to do a better job. Now first, we see that the United States must get rid of social stigmas that exist today. One of these stigmas that they need to get rid of is that people's belief that unless they go to college, they will not be successful. People simply think that they must go to college to be successful, and this is certainly not true, because the fact of the matter is today, too many Americans are going to college. While this may seem odd, it really does make a lot of sense, because what happens is, when everyone pushes to go to college, we see over-enrollment and under-preparation for whatever job they're training to become. And this causes an underqualified workforce. So therefore, if we see a decline in people that are actually going to college, would actually have more qualified individuals going to college and actually see an increase in the actual education that these people are receiving. And saying that not everyone needs to go to college because there's simply not a need for people to go to college because it causes an artificial inflation of what a college degree is. See, a bachelor's degree in business does not mean the same thing today as it meant 20 years ago. And this is because so many people are going to college that it's no longer that a bachelor's is going to keep you competitive in the global market. Now you're going to need a master's to simply enter into an entry-level position in a company. And so because of this artificial inflation, we're actually hurting what college means in the United States. So by actually decreasing the amount of people that go to college, and by increasing the amount of people that go to other education institutions, such as vocational schools, which I'll talk about later. But for people who don't know what vocational schools are, they're simply training schools for people that want to become, for example, plumbers, electricians, other jobs that require training, and they let people go into these schools and train them for their future professions. And so we can, by removing these negative stigmas, we make other options, such as vocational schools, more attractive to people and actually incentivize people to actually go to other channels of education, such as these. Now, we see that a survey by the Department of Education found that people would rather go to college and make less money than people who would go to vocational schools and make more money. And this is because of the stigma that is attached to college and vocational schools. People like the prestige that is attached to college, and they do not want the disdain that's attached to vocational schools. So these social stigmas pretty much are dictating our choices, even if alternatives are better. So by actually opening up these alternatives and by removing these social stigmas, we would actually see a better lifestyle for the American public. In addition, we must remove the stigma that's attached to teaching. And we can do this by making teaching more attractive. And by doing this, we need to make sure that teaching is actually attracting the upper quartile graduates in our country. And it's no longer a backup plan for people that failed in their dreams or for bored housewives. Teaching needs to be a job for people who are the top graduates in the United States so that they can actually help teach our youth to become the future leaders of tomorrow. And unless we incentivize teachers by making teaching more attractive, there is no way we're going to be able to improve our education system. We must make sure to remove this social stigma to increase our education level. Now second, the United States needs to switch to an aptitude-based education system. See, the United States right now has an achievement-based education system. And what that means is that we base our education system on the achievements that a child will accomplish throughout his education career, such as grades, GPA, SAT, ACT scores. Those are all achievement-based scores. And what the United States needs to do is shift away from achievement-based to actually an aptitude-based. Because people in richer school districts are more likely to do well in achievement-based tests than people in underfunded and poorer school districts. So really it's unfair because it ties these people into a cycle of poverty or into a cycle of perpetual wealthiness. See, a person in a poorer, underfunded school district is less likely to be able to receive an education where they can go to a great school and be able to succeed in life. So what happens is these people are tied into a cycle where they can only provide so much as that their children can go to these underfunded poor schools. So it ties them into a cycle of poverty. And people in the middle and upper class are able to provide their children with a great enough education that they're tied into a cycle of going to good schools and being able to sustain this lifestyle of middle and upper class. So by switching away from achievement-based to an aptitude-based system, we're able to destroy this tension between these classes and be able to bring the lower class into the upper and middle class. So really distributing wealth more equally and bringing fairer equality to all of America. So what we can do this is by implementing this aptitude-based test. We test a child's innate abilities, such as their skills, their strengths, their weaknesses. And it's not dependent on where the child goes to school, but rather what they're good at. And we can do this because it's been implemented in other countries, such as China. What China does is, after 8th grade, they have a mandatory nationwide test that sees what these students are good at, what their strengths are, and based on those, they can go into whatever field they will have the most potential in when they grow up. And this helps them reach the most potential that they can and actually live out to the best lifestyle that they can. And it's really, by doing this aptitude-based education system, we're creating a custom-made education system that's tailored to every student's needs. As we can see, a study by the British Journal of Education found that 67% of college graduates were employed in their field of education, whereas only 97% of vocational school graduates were employed in their field of graduation. We see a 30% jump in their field of graduation to what their field they're employed in. Because this vocational school graduates have so much more job security because there's less competition right now and they have a much more greater peace of mind that they will find a job when they enter the workforce. So it's really better for people to go through vocational schools because they're more likely to find a job in what they have skills in and what they're more likely to do good in, therefore helping them get ahead in life. See, when we actually implement these aptitude-based systems, we diversify the workforce. We have people going to becoming plumbers, electricians, computer technicians, every single job that is available. And what this happens is we diversify our workforce, but also we have fewer people in each industry. And this is a good thing, because we have fewer people in each industry, but those few people are much more qualified than having 100,000 doctors. And so by having these few well-qualified individuals, we drive up salaries across the board and help everyone have a better lifestyle because we're really implementing a greater system for everyone in America. And finally, third, what we need to do is incentivize teachers to do a better job. And we can do this in a number of ways. First, the United States can disband teachers' unions. Now, there's only 2 states in the United States that do not allow teachers' unions, Texas and Ohio. But in some states, such as New Jersey, it's almost impossible to fire teachers because the unions there are simply so strong. So by the United States government disbanding these teachers' unions, we can see that we actually take back the power to fire these teachers and make teachers more accountable for their actions. In addition, when we hold this threat of being able to fire teachers, teachers are now more scared that they must perform at the level that they need to prepare their children. So, therefore, it increases our education rates and it helps our children get a better education because the teachers are now threatened that they must perform at an exceptional level to keep their jobs and to make sure that our children do well when they grow up. And therefore, the threat of job loss helps our education system improve. In addition, right now, what we have in the United States is the way to reward teachers is simply based on how many people pass tests. So, for example, a teacher experiences a 50% passing rate in a standardized test. well, based on that 50% passing rate, she or he would receive a bonus. Well, this is simply not fair again, because it's biased toward the upper class schools. People, and students especially, that are in the more well-funded school districts are more likely to do well in these tests. And therefore, the teachers that teach in these school districts are more likely to receive bonuses than teachers that teach in underfunded school districts. So, by actually removing this reward system that we have in place today, and by creating a reward system that is fair across the board, that we can implement in every school in America, we can actually reward teachers to do a better job. And that's exactly what we need to focus on. We need to focus on creating a system that is fair across the board, because we simply do not have one that works today. So by disbanding teachers' unions and by incentivizing teachers to do a better job, we can increase our education rates in the United States greatly. So we're looking back at today's question. What must the United States do to fix our current education crisis? The answer is really quite simple. They need to fix three major problems. And they can do this by combating negative stigmas that exist today, by implementing an aptitude-based education system, and finally, by incentivizing teachers to do a better job. And if the United States can do all three of these things, we may see that 82% failing rate turn into an 82% passing rate. Thank you.